Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe. This is, well, let's get straight into it. This is Abdul and this is Andy Tate. How are you doing, lads?
All right.
Yeah, bit of a throwback show.
Bit of a throwback. Abdul and Andy on the same show.
Yeah, pre-lockdown.
Pre-lockdown. This is Howson's Brew, of course. No Stephen Howson today, but he will be back very soon, so don't worry about that. And anyway, we don't need Stephen Howson. We've got a lot to get through today. The Premier League season starts... Forget about tonight, because Arsenal and Brentford, who cares? Tomorrow, Man United versus Leeds, lunchtime kickoff, football is back. We've all enjoyed the Euros, we've all enjoyed the Copa America, but proper football's back. How happy are you? How excited are you, Andy? I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back in Old Trafford since the City game. Went to Brentford, friendly, but yeah, since that atmosphere against City, and a year of hell and pain and suffering. It's back, and I taste the Yorkshire ding dong with the dingles over from Leeds.
Interesting. When's the last time you had a taste of Yorkshire ding dong, Abdul? It's been a while, hasn't it? Personally, it's been a very long time for me, but now you mentioned it, and I've got a hankering for one. What are your thoughts on the season coming back, Abdul? Football, proper football.
I'm excited, man.
First of all,
just being back at Old Trafford.
Yeah, sorry. How big a fan are you of international football? Like, how much have you enjoyed this summer?
I enjoyed the Euros. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was. I like the big competitions. Obviously, the Euros, the World Cup, all this extra stuff with like the Nations League and then the friendlies, and I don't really bother with much. But I always like a international tournament, a proper one. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun to watch, but it's just nice being back in the ground. I think that's the thing I'm looking forward.
That's the main thing, isn't it? This podcast is brought to you by Sky Bet with their Fan Hope survey, right? They've been round and asked pretty much every team in the league's opinions on loads of different things. So we're going to have a few talking points. They've been talking to Manchester United fans. Let's get our first one up. Here's the first stat from the Fan Hope survey. Man United fans are predicting a second place finish, but this opinion, whatever, all the Liverpool and City think they're going to finish first. United fans think they're going to finish second. I want to talk about the chances of a title challenge next season, or this season, as I suppose it would be now with the league starting tonight. First of all, Abdul, do you think that's like the main requirement? Do you think that's the minimum expectation this season? And do you think genuinely United can win the league this year?
I think there's 4 teams in this title challenge, in my opinion. I think it's about who takes advantage in certain periods of the season. You got City could potentially start a bit slow, because obviously they've got, I think De Bruyne's out, they've got Foden out. Last season they didn't start too well, and then they took advantage of United's dropping off.
And also, the season's starting tonight. They've got Jesus as their only striker at the club.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening with Harry Kane. So
well, exactly.
Obviously, if Harry Kane walks through the door, then that's, for me, the league's done. It's City's league. But if that doesn't happen, I think it's an open title race. I feel like, obviously, Liverpool addressed Konate, bringing him in at centre-back. United have addressed the right wing issue with Sancho and the centre-back as well, who's with Varane, who's world-class. So I think every team's addressed something. Chelsea never really got Werner and Havertz scoring goals consistently enough last season. No. They got Romelu Lukaku now, who's obviously, since he's left the Premier League, improved parts of his game, gone away at Inter Milan, become the main man, won the league title, and he's come back. So I just think it's a bit of an open race, and United should be challenging. I think they will be in a genuine challenge, because you can't, we were up there, for a decent amount last season.
We're top of the league in January last season.
Yeah, and then
Sheffield United.
We're always within like a decent range of City until obviously the last couple of months. After probably around the derby when we beat them. Anyways, I think that was when we it was gone, because we beat them and they didn't mean anything. But I think it's just an open race right now, because you can't just you've got Sancho, you've got Varane. You can't say that's not a massive improvement. Yeah. Because you're addressing long-term problems with world-class players.
What I would say, Andy, we talked. Abdul's mentioned there, like Lukaku's gone to Chelsea. Obviously, that improves a bit of a hole they had up front. Werner actually didn't do as bad as a lot of people thought in terms of numbers, but wasn't getting 25, 30 goals. City, for me, yes, Jack Grealish is a great player, but that's all they've signed at the minute. That Kane isn't a Man City player. I don't think that Jack Grealish right now is a better player than David Silva was 2-3 years ago. I don't think he's as good. So I personally don't think City are that much better than they have been as it stands. I don't even think they've really improved that much. I like Jack Grealish, but he isn't a massive step up on Bernardo Silva, on Mahrez, on Sterling. I personally don't think he is. I think he's a very good player.
He could join another team in the league, and then I'd say that could push them. But with City, it almost feels like they've still got problems in that midfield.
Yeah, he's just a cog in that team, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly that. And it just feels like in that midfield where Pep might shuffle things about. Sometimes Gundogan will play deep, Rodri, Fernandinho. I think that's where Pep can get it wrong, and that's where City's issues are. It feels like they've not settled down on that exact thing, and it can kill them sometimes.
What do you reckon with City then, and with United as well? Because I think in Grealish, not Grealish, obviously we talked about City. In Sancho, I like Mason Greenwood on the right hand side, but he's not the creator that Jadon Sancho is. United, other than Bruno, don't have someone that creates goals like Jadon Sancho does. I think Varane is a notable improvement on Victor Lindelof. I think, assuming he's fit, he's just a better player. I think United have actually improved their starting 11 more than anyone else. I think Lukaku definitely improves Chelsea, but not as much as Sancho and Varane improve United. I think in terms of closing the gap, we've done more than anyone else has with our transfers, even though we've only signed 2 players. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think on paper we've done well. We've made 2 major signings. City have signed Grealish, and he's only been there 2 minutes. And City, like I say, De Bruyne. He's nothing on De Bruyne, but he's going to learn, and he has to learn quick if he wants to get in that first 11 at City. But United at the moment, like I say, are leading the way. But if City get Kane, then it's a done deal. The league's done.
You think?
I think.
Wait, right, here's something, and this is for people at home as well, and this might just be me living in like a fantasy land, right? When Aguero was at Man City, what was it, 260 goals he got from, something ridiculous, a ludicrous amount of goals over his time. He scored all the time. His minutes to goal ratio is one of the best ever in the Premier League. Phenomenal striker. How many times was he Premier League Golden Boot winner? Isn't it like 1 or none? It wasn't many, was it?
I don't think it was often, no. Because he's always injured for parts.
He's injured. That's a problem for him. His injuries were a problem, but you could say the same thing about Harry Kane.
Harry Kane will always give you 3 months where he's injured.
Exactly.
Season, innit?
Yeah.
And so I think that you put Harry Kane in that City system. I don't think he gets 45, 50 goals for him. I think he gets less goals for City than he did for Tottenham, just because of how they play. I think they're such a system-based team. Like, look at Raheem Sterling. I don't think anyone on this table would say he's a top-class finisher or a natural finisher in terms of getting the ball in the back of the net. He's not great at that, I don't think. His composure's not great. He misses big chances quite a lot. But he scored, was it 28 goals the season before last for City? Because their system is so well-suited to their attacking players.
Difference with Harry
I don't
Kane,
think Kane's going to score that many goals for him.
He won't score the goals, and the difference with Harry Kane, though, because he's such a unique striker in his style, like... He can play off the line a bit more than any other striker. He can drop deep and he can find those passes, and that's why he suits Pep Guardiola and Man City. And that's why I think you're going to see utter dominance from City if he joins. He might not score the goals, but then if you got Sterling on the left side, maybe Grealish.
You've even seen him though. You've seen him what he can do. Yeah. Some of the goals he can turn a game. Harry Kane, bang one.
I'm not saying he's not a great player, and he has been brilliant for Tottenham.
Put a ball in the net. You put the ball in the box, he'll get you goals.
It's about the level of difference in it that you think it'll make, and I think that's what the difference with Kane and Grealish. Like, if they'd bought Kane over Grealish, for example, and they don't get Kane now, I would have said Kane that they've won the league, because I just think he's reached that peak right now. Like last season, that form where he's just dropping pretty much into midfield, just finding wonderful passes into Son. Is the intelligence shifting out of his feet to have a quick shot in the area, outside the area, like real world class, like striker. So I just think with Kane, he's just got so much to his game that he slots straight in there into City. And if he doesn't score, like you said, and I can see that happening, if he doesn't score a crazy amount of goals, like maybe he might even not get 20 plus goals in the league, he'll still be able to make rack up a few assists.
You can't see him a 45, 50 goal striker in a season. No, Ronaldo did that once, and that was a freak season.
I'm not knocking Kane for saying he won't score 40 goals. The point I was trying to make is he's, again, obviously not the same thing, but he's the sort of the Michael Jordan at Tottenham, isn't he? He is, everything goes through you. If you can't score, you'll pass it to someone else. Whatever you do, we trust you. At City, he isn't that guy anymore. He's obviously there's still the focal point, the talisman probably of that team, the most expensive player in the team if he does go there. But he isn't that. We'll give you the ball. You let us know what you want us to do after that. It's not going to be that. He's going to be on the end of a lot of things more at City than he is at Tottenham. Obviously, he gets
He'll be taking pens as well. So.
Yeah. So That was just my point with Harry Kane. May be wrong. When he gets 50 goals next year, then I'll look a bit stupid. But I just think the way United have improved, we've taken a bigger step forward than any of the other teams. But obviously,
and it's also crucial to Tottenham. They have to keep him if they want to do something again this season as well.
Yeah. If they've got any hopes of getting back in the top 4,
they need him. They need him.
Yeah. Liverpool and City fans more confident than United. Do you think that's fair?
I would say Liverpool. Yeah, I've got a point to prove after losing Van Dijk, and so they were top of the league at start Christmas. And we saw that all clawed them up and went top of the league as well. City, Liverpool all caught them up. So United City caught up with them. So I think they got a point to prove. And if you've lost the way you've surrendered your title, it doesn't sit well with the players.
No,
I think from a Liverpool fan's perspective, they'd have to look at how that season started with Van Dijk, the Villa result, a couple of the other games.
Let's not forget 8-2 against Villa, whatever it was. 8-2? 7-2.
Beat Crystal Palace as well, didn't they?
Well, they lost to Villa 7-2.
Yeah.
With Van Dijk in the team, like you're saying.
So that start of the season, for me, the way Liverpool played wasn't their best. And I think there were question marks at the back end of the season where they won the title, the Arsenal game away from home. So those question marks were there with Van Dijk or without him. And I think it's nothing to do with him, like, is it like falling off or anything. We'll have to see how he does post-injury. I get that he gives his team a lift, but I still think there's something there in midfield that they're missing. If Thiago, because when you look at what Thiago's done at Bayern Munich, he almost always has an on and off season. He's like, there's a period where he'll be injured a lot and he doesn't really have his best season. But then when he's at his peak, he's a phenomenal player. We've seen that in the Champions League winning season, the last one with Bayern Munich. So if he can up his levels, and you got Jordan Henderson back fit, who's got tons of experience, still got a season or two in him. You got Fabinho, who's arguably one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. Then they look good, but if I'm a Liverpool fan, I still have a concern about that midfield because I'm still unsure about that Thiago position. Because if he doesn't step up, you need I think look at United's midfielder, Bruno Fernandes, got Paul Pogba. Of course, there's still issues at the end, but Van der Beek could step up as well. I think that midfield
you've still
is
got
crucial.
Matic, Fred, McTominay
they've all had,
work your way through as well.
Exactly. So, and I feel like even as much like McTominay and Fred, a lot of our fans, of course, say a lot about them and whatnot. McFred. So I like McFred in some of the bigger games, and they've proved that the PSG game away from home and like City games as well. And they have a lot of games where they'll get you out of trouble, and you can see that, and they'll stop some of the best midfielders in the world. So it's about how you utilise that. It's about Oli.
Go on, Andy.
He's
boiling away over there.
I get it.
I go back to the FA Cup quarter final with Leicester.
Yeah,
it will not get you a trophy.
No, but
they were terrible.
That was our chance. No disrespect to Leicester City. That was our chance to go to the final and win something.
But that's the balance, though, Andy. Like I think
a trophy.
I think you need to have a squad though, because
if
you look at City in the final, Pep picked the wrong team, but he had a squad. He had the option to pick the wrong team. I feel like all he's had is McTominay and Fred. And Matic as well was poor when he lost his runner against Leicester. Again, so it's about Manchester United having to reshuffle every few weeks. Matic when he's got his legs and getting the best out of him.
McFred every game by game.
No, I think in the smaller games you can't rely where you want to be on the front
fans
foot.
In the stadium, they got away with it.
In the bigger games, I think they really show like. The City game away from home at the Etihad a couple of times.
They were brilliant.
But those games are suited to them. But it's about, I think Ollie's slowly finding his balance across the pitch.
When to play him and when not to play him. You just can't keep playing him. Because they'll play well, then they'll drop off. And let's say Solskjaer's got to know when to play him and not play him. Because if we go to big matches this season, we've got a chance of achieving something.
Yeah.
Sorry, lads, it's one or the other. Or you're playing with Pogba, or Donny's getting a game.
I think we need to see a bit more from Donny as well. Both in terms of his opportunities and in terms of his output, I think.
He's beefed up this season.
He's beefed up. Yeah. Let's hope that's going to make him better.
He's an intelligent player, isn't it? So if he's adding that physical aspect to his game, then it's a good thing. It's not going
to hurt him, is it?
Yeah, and we've seen, I think it was the Champions League game against Istanbul Başakşehir last season, where him and Fred were in the midfield, and he played really like through that midfield, like those quick, intricate passes from deep. He's not really got an unbelievable range of passing.
No.
But then with those quick, sharp passes, and you pop it back into.
Still young. He's only 24, isn't he?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just he's not really suited to United. But I think as United develop as a team, when you've got Sancho coming in, when you've got Maguire at his best with his ball playing ability, you've got Varane, you've got Pogba.
He's got potential, just like Grealish.
Everyone around him has to be good
age,
to pop off.
Where'd you go with your talent? There's potential there.
I think
hopefully we'll
he
see
could
it.
really do something, and we've seen what he's done in the Champions League with Ajax. So when you surround that level of quality around the pitch, because we're going to be spoiled for choice in certain areas of the pitch. I think especially with those players that can play the number 10 or the more advanced roles in Pogba, Bruno and Donny. I feel like it's just Ollie's finally finding his feet with how to he's even mentioned it in pre-season. He said Bruno played too much last season. And again, it's like Delo as well at right back, using Delo in giving him more than 2 or 3 games. Like there's sometimes useless cup in European games where why is Wan-Bissaka playing in this game? Like give Delo a run of games to challenge him as well.
I think Ollie wants to entertain this season as well.
Yeah.
I heard about the 4-3-3 stuff, haven't we?
Yeah, he wants to entertain and give the fans something.
Go straight to the sort of the third stat that we've got, because the second one's basically the same about United finishing second. We've got another one. This is a good one. Among Premier League fans, Man United are 4th favourites to win the title behind City, Liverpool and Chelsea with 9% of the vote. That's not very much, is it? And the majority of United fans, this is the key thing, the majority of United fans think that City will win the title next season. Does that surprise you? That 56% of United fans think City are going to win the league next year?
Well, they're a team to beat. I mean, that's perfectly understandable and reasonable.
Yeah.
But them 4 now are the top 4 in what order it's going to finish. Who knows?
You don't think, well, Leicester have been there or thereabouts. You don't think they've got a chance of pushing that?
No disrespect for Leicester. I think their target now is to make the top 4. They've achieved so much in the last 5 years. They've won the set. They've won everything in 5 years. How many Premiership teams, Football League teams can say that? You know what I mean? It's so incredible achievement from Leicester City, and they want to push on next season.
I think if there is like a freak surprise team that pops in, it will be Leicester again. Because I feel like they've set on like a system and a team that just keeps developing, and I think they've sort of grown out of just using Jamie Vardy. Now you've got Iheanacho who's coming into his own, had a great end to the season. They've added Daka as well, who's a great talent. Harvey Barnes, who I rate highly.
I think he's brilliant, Harvey Barnes.
James Maddison, coming to his best. And that midfield, for me, Tielemans and Ndidi. We talk about teams that have a consistent midfield that you can rely on throughout the season. And United, like we said, Ollie's finding that slowly. But that Leicester team, they've had that. And I feel like that's what's always got them close, is that they've had that midfield. And once Ndidi's been injured, Maddison's been injured, Tielemans has been injured, you see them that fall off. So now they've added Samori as well. They've brought him in from Liga, and that... So you never know. They could, for me, any team that has that drop off out of the top 4, which is very possible, they can nip in for a Champions League place. But a league,
they're not challenging United in terms of the top.
No, mate,
so.
unless they win the Europa League next season.
But you think it's fair enough that United fans think City are going to win the league? It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you're being realistic, that, like you said, they've been the team to beat for a decade now. Yeah. Essentially, since about 2011, if you finish above City, you win the league.
Well, the top 4. The top 4, as it is, all fans are demanding a title challenge, and we expect a title challenge, not to win it, but at least to have a goal.
Let's be there or thereabouts in May.
Let's be there with a couple of games to go, and then, like you say, if you get anything extra out of it, that's fantastic. So, but the expectation this season now for United now is deliver and a trophy. Like I said, I don't care what it is. Last season still really hurts, that Europa League, where we went out with a whimper.
Yeah, that was bad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, actually, just before we go into we've got another talk about in a second. Did you see how Thomas Tuchel brought on Kepa for Mendy when they were going into the penalty shootout in the Super Cup? Yeah. And he said, before the game we spoke about it, Caballero's basically was the best penalty saver last time, but now we've got Kepa and he's better than Mendy, so we brought him on. We talked about it before, we did it, it worked, he saved 2 penalties, I think it was, they won the Super Cup. Do you think if Solskjaer had brought on Dean Henderson for De Gea before the shootout against Villarreal, that we would have won the Europa League?
Who knows, you got to be a strong coach.
It's a difficult one though, because we don't know what you see in training. Like De Gea, we've seen De Gea save decent penalties in the past. I know his record isn't great.
Was it? It's like 40 in a row. He's not saved now.
He's almost like fallen off with his penalties because I remember Leighton Baines at Old Trafford. He had a great game. I think he saved that. I remember Lukaku in the semi-final against Everton at Wembley. Hard hit right in the bottom corner, saved that.
Yeah,
he saved 1 or 2 against Arsenal in the past, like when he was younger. So
that's good. But Lukaku though scoring against the top team and De Gea saving a penalty, that's like the movable force against the stoppable object, isn't it? Was Lukaku going to bottle it or was De Gea going to bottle it? One of them was going to.
If we're in a position like that again this season, any competition, if it's to get to a final, win it. A manager's got to show some.
I think
you've got to show.
Just a little thing there because it made me think of the Chelsea one. Yeah, it's just
that's it.
Statistically, I'm pretty sure Dean Henderson is substantially better than De Gea. Anyway, right, we've got another stat. There you go. 98% of fans think the club have a realistic chance of silverware this season, with only Liverpool, City, and Chelsea fans thinking are more confident. I can be more confident than 98%. But they're saying every single Chelsea fan think they're going to win a trophy. That's basically all United fans think we should win a trophy this season. We've spoke about this a little bit already, but that's we've got to win silverware.
Right to win anything.
Of course,
you've got to earn it.
Yeah, but that's got to be the target, hasn't it?
Yeah, a trophy. I don't care. Like, we had so many. The last few years, we've had so many close semi-finals. We get into a final, and it's just taking that final step over the line. I mean, look at Liverpool. Over the years with Klopp, they got to Europa League final, League Cup final, lose.
Champions League final,
Champions League, lose, and then they win it. Then they spur on from that. So I don't care what it is this season. If it's a League Cup, FA Cup, top 4, I'm happy as laddie, mate. I'll be dancing. I'll be swinging from the chandeliers, mate. Really? Tell you.
Not in here because I think they're water pipes. So if you come down, the whole building's coming down. What do you reckon? Silverware? Got to be on it.
Yeah, you have to win some sort of silverware this season and put in. Like I said, we've got enough. If you're finishing second last season, you've had your patches. Obviously, when Pogba got injured after scoring against Fulham and that good run of form, United dropped off. So if you get your players fit, you rotate properly, and now having Varane and Sancho allows us to have that. So. And then Marcus Rashford is going to come in again like around November. So the team is set for a challenge and a minimum of like a trophy or 2.
Something interesting as well, obviously, I know this is obvious. I know this is literally 1 + 1 = 2, what I'm saying here. But I love the fact that like Maguire can have a rest and you've still got someone the quality of Victor Lindelof to back him up. Varane can have a rest. You've got Victor Lindelof to back him up. Like, I know Lindelof isn't maybe a top world-class centre-back, but he's very good. He doesn't make that many mistakes.
He's one of the best third options you can probably have.
Other than like Laporte at City, who may well leave because he seems to be pissed off at his position at the minute. But Lindelof is a backup option, not just to play, but to give Maguire or Varane a rest on any given day. To me, that's brilliant.
You can turn up against certain sides where you can look to exploit with like a pass over the top. Like we've seen him find like Marcus a couple of times, the Granada game, the Sheffield game. So if you're doing that, you know, where Ollie's gone, you know what, this game, you know, Maguire, Varane, they've played a bit too much. Let's rest them for a big like European game or something. We know we can hit this team in that way. Use Lindelof because he's actually improved in his like 1v1s. In the air, he has improved, but not enough. And I think he'll never reach that level to be a Premier League centre-back that you can rely on to deal with those horrible games. Yeah, to win the league, to win the horrible games against your West Broms and the Sheffields. And to be honest, when you look back at last season, that's what our downfall was. We were fine against City, and Lindelof had a great game at the Etihad last season. So it's that balance. And again, it's like we was talking about if United want a challenge. And I think Ollie's now ready to just understand his team a bit more in terms of the fitness, the rotation. And I think we could be in for a surprise. Like, we could really smash it this season. Like, I can see us genuinely.
It makes you get excited.
I really want to say 21's coming.
I
really want to say I'm very close.
There's going to be games we're going to have to win ugly.
Oh yeah.
Go back to West Brom last season. Maguire said, "Oh, there's plenty of leaders in the team," and the performance it was dire. The entire game, that West Brom game, that just summed United up. Like the Sheffield United game. I mean, and we lost to City, the league by City to 12 points. I mean, you win them 2. It's respectable.
Well.
And also, you put pressure on them.
Losing by 6 points is okay.
And also, if you're 6 points behind going into the last 5 games, there's pressure. If you're 12 points behind, there's no pressure. They can coast. And the other thing with that is, like the West Brom game and the Sheffield United games, I think Lindelof was fouled in that game. I think that was a foul. He grabbed him, he pulled him back, and he won the header. Okay, fair enough. But either way, we need to be strong enough to win those games even including a mistake by the ref or including what may be a foul. The same with the Sheffield United one. De Gea was fouled, the refs admitted that. Martial's goal should have stood, the ref admitted that. Was it Martial's goal or was it Maguire's goal? Martial, wasn't it? He dropped down and Martial tapped it.
Yeah,
Maguire with a foul.
You can't use excuses.
No, but that's what I'm saying. We need to be strong enough that even if we get 2 wrong decisions in a game against us, we need to be good enough and strong enough that we still win.
Yeah, spur it on.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
go on, sorry.
I'll go back to the semi-final against City.
Yeah.
In the League Cup, it was a one-off leg due to COVID. 1-0 down with 20 minutes to go. If we get into a position like that, I want to see United throw everything at it.
Yeah.
Everything. In a semi-final to get to Wembley.
Yeah.
They got to do it, and I don't care how they do it. Just don't put your heads down and accept defeat. Go for it.
I feel like now with Jadon Sancho, I've watched him on a couple of occasions for Dortmund where he really thrives in those situations where teams are compact and he almost plays himself into the area a lot of the time. He will make the right decision.
He can change the game.
I feel like he's got that mentality. I think even with all the transfer talk and everything in that cup, winning the cup for Dortmund last season. That was
goal
a
and
fantastic
assist in
ball.
the final.
Yeah, and a great goal. And he just feels, you can see that passion. You can see that level of wanting to win. And I think we was watching something when chatting to Rio. And he could see his reaction to just really wanting to.
Don't worry, lads, I'm getting us to Wembley.
Yeah,
I love to see that.
The thing with that is as well, Dortmund had a terrible season. They scraped Champions League in the end, but also winning them that trophy. Dortmund don't win many trophies, and I've said this loads on here. People look at Dortmund as the second best team in Germany. I think that's their second trophy in 9 years, something ridiculous. So
2014,
yeah. So it's they don't win that many trophies, and for Sancho to sort of basically drag them over the line was brilliant. We've got a super chat from Arindam Wasti. He said, "Hey guys, I've got a chant for Varane, sung to the theme tune of Que Sera Sera. It's a bit long for a super chat. Could you check in the comments section after the video?" Well, get it in the comments now. We'll read it out. If it's any good, Andy's got to start singing it on Saturday. We've got another stat to get to while producer Callum is having a look for that comment. Right, this is mad. This is the most mad one that we've had so far. Leeds 70%, Man City 56%, and Newcastle 37%. All consider Man United to be their biggest rivals, but United are split between City and Liverpool, with only 1% saying Leeds being our biggest rivals. Leeds, I kind of get, fair enough. Maybe 70% is quite a lot, but City again 56%. Who else are their rivals? Stockport. Newcastle United though. Over a third of Newcastle fans think Man United are their biggest rival. What's that about?
They're so lonely up there. They've got no one to hate.
Everyone just wants to be United's rival, innit? You got Arsenal, you got City, you got Liverpool,
you
got Leeds.
96.
I was going to say 96.
I love it if we hate them. Love it.
They love it. They hate us. 37% of Newcastle fans think that we're their biggest rival.
No Sunderland, no Middlesbrough. They've got no one to hate.
It's
the
the
poor
PTSD,
little guys.
innit? It's just
You think?
Yeah, Sir
They just hate us the most, so therefore we're the rival.
just ruined childhoods, didn't he? That was it. They've
up and down the country.
They didn't get the takeover they wanted, so they got to hate somebody. You know what I mean?
That's mad.
They hate Mike Ashley, and they got to hate someone else.
And it's weird because do you know everyone up and down the country? You go on any night out and people are chanting "We all hate Leeds scum." That's in nightclubs up and down the country, and yet everyone hates them. But quite substantially, most Leeds fans consider United to be their biggest rival. It's not a surprise, is it? Like I said, a lot of that's down to the Fergie era, how much pain that has been caused to these teams by Man United. Obviously, Leeds, we took their best player of the year after the year they won the title, and then we won it and they never won it again. And Newcastle, we stopped them winning it. But even so, it's quite surprising, that, isn't it? And does that surprise you, Andy, that more people consider City a bigger rival than Liverpool these days? Because I bet 10, 15 years ago that wouldn't have been the case, would it?
No, to me, it's Liverpool.
Yeah.
City will be City to me.
Yeah.
No disrespect, I've got City in my family, but I grew up with City being that little team from my side. But City are with the big boys now. But for me, it's Liverpool all the way. And it took City 35 years to join hating Liverpool, only when the team bus got smashed at Anfield. Because City fans were always all right with Liverpool when I was growing up. Oh, not anymore.
What is it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah,
so they were like, well, Liverpool ate City.
We
ate Liverpool ate United.
We ate United. I think we're best 8,
Yeah, exactly. What do you reckon to that? Who's in your mind? Who's the biggest rival? What's the biggest game?
I think it's always Liverpool, innit? I think it just has that I do have I feel like over the last season or so, just because of the way I think like City have gotten around winning things, and that's not to say United haven't spent and other teams haven't spent, but everything for me, like looking at City is just like proper plastic. Like everything's just not. It's just like, you know, like the Grealish unveiling and like all that stuff when you're watching it, and like you go to the Etihad now, and it's like, this is not the City I knew. Like I grew up like not far from the old ground, like from Main Road. That was like local fans there and stuff like that, and speaking to people, like that's what I see as like real City. So with that all being shifted over and like just being pumped, it's just not the same. I think that's the difference. When Liverpool have won it, it feels a bit more of one thing. It's a bit more worthy.
You know you want to beat them because they've won the.
And also United have got.
I'm a lot more jealous when Liverpool win something, because it just when
it
City
hurt more when Liverpool won the league than when City did.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it really.
That says it all, doesn't it?
Oh, no,
that was horrible.
Well,
I don't know. No one saw it.
See it.
I heard rumours. If a team lift a trophy and no one's there to see it, did it actually happen?
Last season either, so no.
Like a tree falling in the woods, that title, wasn't it?
Like an X-File. What happened last 2 years? I didn't see anything.
No, I was asleep.
Same here.
I was asleep. I was. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'm surprised that. Well, I say it's only 1%, so it's not a particularly huge thing. But it's surprising that people would say that Leeds are the United's biggest rivals. Obviously, there's a rivalry there, but the biggest rival, that's surprising, isn't it?
Leeds goes back longer.
Oh, I know it does, but to say they're above Liverpool, above City.
Oh, yeah, it goes back to Don Revie. My dad taught me about it, and over the years, and Leeds got promoted in 1990, and I was 15. I remember the trash Bournemouth and all that. They got promoted, Albie Wilkinson, 1990-91, Leeds were in the Stretford end. Leeds fans in the Stretford end when Leeds scored with Mel Sterling.
And
all the United fans charged him.
So there's quite a long rivalry
going on.
And obviously,
it goes deeper.
They still remember it. 70% of Leeds fans saying that we're their biggest rival.
Yeah. Even in the dark dons, the low what Leeds went through, they were still hating us from afar. You know what it was.
Have we got any more stats, Callum? There we go, look. This is a big one for me. I want to talk about this. Let me know in the comments as well. This surprised me, this one. 76% of Man United fans would prefer City's owners, Sheikh Mansour and the City Group, over the Glazers. Now, I think I can speak for us all in saying none of us here like the Glazers. Are you fan?
Yeah.
You fan?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly, right? I just think I thought we might get a few nods of the heads, but nothing. None of us like the Glazers. But for me, we won't go into too many of the details of this, but the sort of the record and the way that they've got their money, the way that they govern things, the way that things go on, I would take the Glazers over City's owners just because of the sort of the human rights aspect and that sort of thing.
It's the same thing with like
they're both dodgy.
They are.
Glazers are dodgy, so City's owners both dodgy.
Yeah, but there's levels to dodgy
levels
in there. One is like the Glazers are greedy and they're nicking money out of Man United. The City's owners are
nearly destroying football.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Let's say allegedly destroying lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There's
levels
that,
to it.
Yeah, but the Glazers nearly destroyed football.
Of course. I'm not a fan of the Glazers, Andy.
So all of a
but this is why
sudden,
it's a good debate.
Hush money. Spend. We've got to spend this. We've got to do that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They would if they haven't got caught. This Super League didn't happen. And he wouldn't have spent this money.
Probably not.
No.
If the protest didn't happen,
we still have the same side.
That wouldn't have. I don't think we'd have sanctioned Brew.
Season.
We might have one of them, but not both. What were you going to say then, Abdul?
I think it's the same thing with like the Saudi Arabian takeover supposedly a couple seasons back, like when there was talks of that, and it's just I didn't want us to be involved in any of that. It's just the background of where that money's coming from. Like again, allegedly the influence in the Middle East, like with the arms and stuff like that, and that things that are leading to like horrific things happening to people across the world, and I wouldn't want my club to be such. Like I said, some people just don't care. Like that money's gonna come in, and I've had a laugh about it and whatever. Like, we're gonna have a lot of money. We'll sign this. We'll sign Messi, Ronaldo, whatever.
Abramovich, like Russian. Russians are dodgy, aren't they?
Well, let's not use that as a blanket statement. But in terms of there's rumours and history with different people, isn't there? But personally, I mean, can we get the comments on the screen for this, Callum? Just because I think it's a really interesting that 76% of United fans would swap owners. Does that surprise you? Obviously, presumably put in sort of, in terms of the way they've ran Manchester City as a club, City, of course, you'd take their owners any day. They've invested well. They've got a great manager.
It's the current generation of United fans. That's what it is.
Yeah. People saying human rights abuses, yes, but we give them our money for their oil and need that money invested back into our economy. Well, I don't know. For me, I just think it's. I can't imagine having City's owners at United. I wouldn't swap that.
I mean, I would love an English billionaire. Billionaire.
Or just someone that didn't get involved. Someone that didn't nick loads of money out of the club. Maybe put a bit in if they wanted to here and there, but just wasn't a parasite. Would be great. We win the Euro millions, us three tonight. We just buy United. Yeah. And say, right, do this, spend what you want, and we'll just sit and enjoy it. Yeah. Will Charter says, I mean, there's no such thing as ethical capitalism, and no billionaire has become a billionaire by being a nice guy. But yeah, human rights abusers ain't the one. Like I said, there are levels. Some people will put out the small, let's say I open a car garage or I might put out a business, the small, mum and dad run store that's been in business in town for 50 years. I might put them out of business, but I'm not ruining people's lives, knocking houses down, putting people in prison for having opinions about me. I'm not doing that. There are different levels, and certain people have made money in much more extreme and harsh ways than others. And for me, as much as I hate the Glazers and everything that they stand for and how they've ran Manchester United, I wouldn't swap them for the City owners, just from a human rights perspective. But it's an interesting one. 76%, that's an overwhelming majority of United fans would swap. Surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't really surprise because as a football fan, everyone's different, but as the average football fan or some kid on Twitter is just he looks at his City fan mates, Liverpool fan mates.
Yeah, that's true.
They're winning everything. You're like, they don't really look at that side of things, and fair enough. Everyone's got their own opinion, and like I said with the Glazers, we've all got that stance in terms of what they've done. I mean, the real
solution is all the clubs are fan run, aren't they?
That would be a start, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's a start.
It's gone down just a horrible route in it. The level of control, whether it's United, Liverpool, Newcastle, and Mike Ashley, it's all across the country. But again, it's just on everyone's.
The key is if all these millionaires pulled out, where would it leave the football clubs? I mean, what you've got, what you have gained now. Could the fans continue it? I'm pretty sure they could, because if the City fans on here and the owners of Liverpool pulled out and the Glazers left and Abramovich left, I'm sure the fans could take over.
I think some clubs would. I don't think City couldn't sustain their model now without their owners. I don't think Chelsea could. United could, as we know, because our owners basically don't do anything anyway in terms of giving. But there are some clubs that are using their owners as a crutch, and some clubs that aren't. I think if City owners left now, it wouldn't be if Pep goes, then it's X, Y, and Z.
It won't fall apart.
It won't fall apart, but they would not be doing what they're doing now without those owners.
They won't have everything they've got now.
No, and they talk about the sustainability and the sponsorships and stuff. They've sold their own stadium to their owners, or the name of the stadium. They sponsor their own kit. And it's real, it's fine, this is real. They give us 43 million quid a year for our kit sponsor. It's yeah, but you're paying yourself that. Imagine you had a mate and he came to you hey, listen to this bit of a money-making scheme I've got. If you're ever low on cash, here's what I do. I just sold myself my own T-shirt, 60 quid. 60 quid in the back. You're like, no, mate, that's your own money. Hey, here's another one. These trainers I've got only worth 50 quid. I just bought them off myself for 150 quid. He's like, you're not making money. This is your own money. It doesn't count. And that's what City are trying to do. Don't count, does it? It's not real money, that.
Unless you're Del Boy.
I'm going to sell myself my own trousers, I think. 150 quid. Right, let's have a look at some of the games in this opening weekend then. Obviously tonight, Brentford Arsenal.
New stadium.
You watching it?
New stadium, new team.
Yeah.
Same old Arsenal. So, yeah, I'm going for a Brentford win.
You think Brentford will win? Everyone's saying Arsenal are going to shit it, aren't they?
I read something before coming here. It was about Lacazette and Aubameyang potentially being out.
Yeah.
I think Ketty is ill. So, I don't know what's happening with that. And Saka's obviously played the Euros up until the end. So, I don't know what they're going to do. They could be coming in as a weak side. They've got a new look defence with Ben White, who I think is good. But I don't know. I think I'd go for a 1-1 in that
Brentford looked alright when they played at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
they did. I think the only issue that I had with them was I was keeping an eye on Ivan Toney, and and obviously he scored so many goals in Championship, 33 goals last season. He just did a bit too much for me outside the area, and then again maybe the approach. We've seen a lot of these players and like teams that do so well in the Championship, and then once they're in the Premier League, like everything for the goal numbers and everything dries up. So it's just about assessing how Brentford do. But I'll go for a 1-1 because Arsenal got the injuries today.
We'll get to United then before we go. The other sort of major fixture is Tottenham City on Sunday, 4:30. Obviously, Harry Kane being the main talking point, he's not going to be playing by the looks of things because he's not even back yet. I don't know what, I've got a sneaking suspicion. This is literally just a theory that I've come up with. I think he's injured, and I think he's been injured for a while, and I think that they're trying to hide it by he's coming back late or that. I think he's struggling with fitness rather than just being moody. I reckon he's fucked, but they want to hide it. I think that's why he wasn't so good at the Euros.
Said this the other day. Something has happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He's not. He knows. Something's happened with Harry Kane. And like he said something's been said to him, and that's why it is what it is at the moment.
Do you think that's going to give Tottenham an extra sort of momentum, extra impetus in that game? Because they're like obviously massive underdogs anyway, because City are just much better than him. And then now you've got the whole Harry Kane saga. Do you reckon Tottenham have got a chance of grabbing a couple of points off City? That'd be great for United as well to start the season.
Mate, you say you've got to be out of the traps straight away, United. Like everybody. So if you get an head start on City, why not?
I think Spurs have had a decent pre-season. I think they beat Arsenal. I was watching the other day.
Chelsea, 2-2. Yeah, remember that.
A couple of other good games where I think Son looks pretty decent. Dele Alli's finding his feet again. So again, like City players have come injured, coming back from the Euros late. I've not really kept up with what they've done at pre-season, but
City they had 2 games. They beat Preston 2-0. They beat Blackpool 4-1.
A lot of that goes out the window as well, doesn't it?
Behind closed doors.
Yeah, pre-season's obviously like you can't look too deep into it. I think Foden's out. Kevin De Bruyne is out, so there's a couple of injuries there. So let's see. Like
this is where United, if they're not back for 8 games,
that's why it's taking advantage of that.
If you get an head start on him, you got to keep your noses in front, lad.
Yeah. I think that's huge.
First 8 games of the season.
A lot of people talk about Liverpool being a bit of a worry because a lot of their players haven't been away either with injury or they've got a lot of African players, so they haven't been to the Euros or the Copa America.
Or the Olympics.
Of the top teams, they've probably had the least of their players go of the top 4 teams, and also the fact that they were, I know Van Dijk obviously has had a knee injury, but they've had players in Trent, in Van Dijk who've now sort of been allowed to, all those little niggling injuries that they would have had, they're just focusing on one. They're probably going to come back maybe even fresher than they would have done if they hadn't had that extra time off. Do you worry about them? They've got a relatively easy start as well.
Yeah, of course. You always got to worry about those teams, especially like with consistent goal scorers in the team, like Salah and if Mane can get back to his form. So I think, like we were saying at the start of the show, it really is anyone's like title out of those 4 teams. I think you'd put City as the favourites, but any sort of drop off from form from them, one of those teams will take advantage. And to be honest, I lean more towards Chelsea now that they got Lukaku.
You think?
Just because I think even if he doesn't have a great season, like adding the goals that Havertz and Werner didn't really get, but again, Werner's still got other parts. He's got a point to prove, and he's come back a better player.
Shift
and
it out.
The thing with Lukaku is, even in the second year at United when he wasn't so good, he still got 17 goals. And he played a lot of games as Sorbo out on the right hand side. Like unless he gets injured, he will get 20 goals for Chelsea next season, no doubt.
Yeah,
he just will.
I think he will.
And it could be 30 plus because of how clinical he is in those positions. I think they're going to.
The midfield
it's good to have that as a backup, isn't it?
You got Kante, who's like obviously Kante's won the title with Leicester, won the title with Chelsea, won the Champions League, the World Cup. So he's one of the best midfielders in the world, without a doubt. And I think Jorginho's come into his own a little bit more. Like, at the start, when he joined, everyone watching him would have been like, it's not really going to suit the Premier League. You need more of a destroyer in that area of the pitch. And I think they're starting to complement each other a lot more now when watching them. So, Jorginho's won the Champions League, the Euros, and they look like a serious force for me. Maybe the defence has still got a couple question marks.
Isn't
it's
great
the defence,
still.
if anything. But other than that,
every side now, the top 4, they will have a run of games where it's a stinker, then they'll just click and get on fire on. It's going to happen. You're going to have to expect it. It'll happen to United, it'll happen to Chelsea, Liverpool, and City. So you just deal with it and get on with it.
Yeah,
because that is the top 4. I don't see anybody breaking into it.
I don't think anyone does, really.
Maybe Leicester if somebody drops off. That's it.
Killian Wallace with the super chat before saying Abdul knows ball, so nice little compliment for you there.
Nice one, mate.
Right, that's going to be all from us. Before we go, give me a score prediction for Leeds, Man United tomorrow, 12:30 kick-off. Obviously, we'll have the watch-along here at Stretford Paddock, so make sure you tune in for that. 11:25 coming in just before the team news comes out. So join in, check out from the team news all the way through to the end of the game here on Stretford Paddock. Andy Tate.
I'm going 2-0 United.
2-0, Abdul.
I'm going to go 1-0 United. Bruno Fernandes goal, Jadon Sancho assist.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. I've already said 1-0 on the
like
preview.
Christmas Eve, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Christmas Eve.
I'm so excited. 1-0, I reckon. I think it's going to be a horrible game. I think it's going to be a really difficult, tough game. Like it was...
Why are the roses made?
Last year...
Lancashire, Yorkshire, and it ain't cricket.
I think it's going to be like that again. But hopefully United can get the win. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully Stephen Howson will be back next week. So for all of you asking where Steve is, he's still about. Don't worry about that. And hopefully he should be on next week. Thank you, Abdul, for coming down once again, mate. Thank you, Andy, for coming on. The face of Sky Bet. We haven't even mentioned it.
If you're looking out for me, just a quick one. I shall be on a billboard somewhere near Old Trafford.
Look at this! And he's on an advert. What are you doing? Kicking some flowers and something?
Yeah, kicking some flowers and shouting the double.
Do you know what I mean? That's Andy Tate, Sky Bet, famous. You're on the advert. How good's that?
Oh, yeah. I'll be there tomorrow with my old man.
Lovely. Right. If anyone's at the game tomorrow, obviously, good luck. Great being back in it. I'm not going tomorrow, but I'll be back for the Newcastle game next month, so looking forward to that. Right, thank you very much again for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.